Hey there, welcome to Takeaway with Sam Oches, a podcast from Nation's Restaurant News. I am Sam Oches, editor-in-chief here at NRN, and this is the show where I give you an all-access pass to the restaurant industry's most influential decision makers. This week, I am talking with Rob Ertmann. He is the CEO of the fast casual chain Mobetta's. Founded by brothers Kimo and Kalani Mack in Bountiful, Utah in 2008, this 40-unit chain, it serves up the comfort foods of the Hawaiian Islands where the Mack brothers grew up. And that includes plate lunches with proteins like teriyaki chicken or steak, kalua pig, katsu chicken, and shrimp tempura, served with white rice and macaroni salad, along with a range of sauces. Mobetta's just last week announced that they have a partnership with the professional golfer Tony Finau, who will own a minority stake in the chain and also serve as a brand ambassador. Now, if you're a golf fan, then you probably know all about Tony Finau. But even if you're just like me and you're more of a casual observer of the sport, you might recognize Tony's name from the recent smash hit Netflix show Full Swing. Rob joined the podcast to talk about that partnership and how brands can successfully leverage high-profile spokespeople on their expansion journeys. In this conversation, you'll learn more about why high schoolers might be your best marketing team, why a high-profile name attached to your brand will encourage guests in new markets to give you a look, and why there is no ceiling for value-oriented chains. Jumping now into my interview with Rob Ertmann, the CEO of Mobetta's. Also, don't forget to stick around after the interview as I will share my 6 takeaways from this discussion, actionable insights that you can take with you on the go. Have you heard about the California Food Service Instant Rebate Program? You can save up to $3,000 instantly on energy-efficient food service equipment when you purchase from participating dealers. Find out more at www.caenergywise.com/instant-rebates and find a participating dealer near you. Skip the paperwork and save instantly on your food service equipment. That's www.caenergywise.com/instant-rebates. Okay, Rob Ertmann, the CEO of Mobetta's. Rob, thanks for joining me today. Excited to talk to you, and we're going to talk a little bit about this brand, Mobetta's, based there in Utah. What's the deal with this brand? I know it's an exciting Hawaiian-based cuisine, but tell me a little bit more about Mobetta's for those listening who aren't familiar with the brand.
Yeah, you got it. Thanks, Sam. Appreciate you having me. So brand actually started in 2008 when Kimo Mack and his brother Kalani came actually from the island of Oahu and started their first restaurant in Bountiful, Utah. In fact, funny enough, Kimo got off the plane. Kalani had already found a site. They literally picked the site within hours of Kimo landing here in the mainland. But, really Hawaiian-style food for us, it is what Kimo and Kalani grew up making essentially in backyards, being taught by family and friends and what they did really when they would host backyard barbecues. So our menu is pretty simple. It's based off of the plate lunch, but it's essentially rice, macaroni salad, and then we have a host of delicious proteins, teriyaki chicken, teriyaki steak, some katsu chicken, which is our fried chicken. So several offerings there that really line up with that core Hawaiian style plate lunch that you might find at some other brands, but for us, really introducing that to customers in new markets.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, because I'm East Coast. East Coast, I don't think we really have this almost at all. I mean, this seems to be more of a West Coast thing, which makes sense, of course, closer proximity to Hawaii. But I think these days, a lot of people think Hawaiian, fast casual, poke. Tell me a little bit about some of the distinctions of the Hawaiian cuisine and what Mobetta's is serving, and maybe compare it to some other ideas that, especially those on the East Coast who aren't familiar with what they might think of when they think of this.
Yeah, you got it. We actually don't do poke, by the way. The reason for that being is we're in the middle of the country, and for us, food quality is important, and getting fresh poke here is not just isn't possible. So that is not on the menu. But for us, really the flavors are things that people are pretty used to. I think really at the end of the day, what we serve is rice, macaroni salad, chicken, steak. Like that's it. The difference being we add teriyaki sauce. We cook it on an open grill. Most everything is prepared in the restaurant. So we cook our rice on site. Our macaroni salad, we actually prepare and cook that on site. And then we do a Kahlua pig, which anybody who's been back to Hawaii, maybe you've gone to a luau or something, they cook that pig in the dirt for hours. We don't have a dirt pit in the back that we cook ours in. We cook it in an oven, but it is slow roasted for 12 hours. So, really trying to take the authentic way about how these foods are prepared back in Hawaii, and again, how Kimo and Kalani grew up. But be able to do it here on the mainland. But at the end of the day, it's staples. That's why I think we're doing so well as we head into the Midwest in particular, is everybody's eating rice and chicken and steak. We're just adding that teriyaki sauce to it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Utah is where Mobetta's obviously started and has really taken off there. My brain doesn't make a natural connection as to why Utah and Hawaiian food. Is it just because the food is that good? Like, what is it that really has resonated for the audiences around where Mobetta's first took off?
Yeah, well, first off, the reason we're in Utah is actually Kimo. So Kimo and Kalani's mother is from Hawaii, is actually native Hawaiian. Their father was from here in Utah. So as they chose to kind of pick up roots and try to raise their kids in somewhere maybe not so expensive and not where they'd want to spend all day at the beach like Kimo and Kalani did growing up, Utah just felt like a natural fit. So that's why here in Utah, I think for us, the growth and where that's at is it's just the authenticity, I think, plays into how people start to love the brand. And when the quality is there and they enjoy the food, the other thing about us is it's the value of the food we provide. So really, we started out serving 2 local high schools next to the first location. And the students there are the ones who first picked up on it and said, wow, I can come in and get a regular plate. I might actually share it with a friend, or better yet, I might take half of this meal home and eat it for dinner, eat it tomorrow. And so really that's where we started kind of this following, is from high school students that loved the value and the quantity of food that we were giving them. And again, quantity of food, but also the quality that goes behind it to enjoy that amount. So I think that's those two things, the quality and the quantity, it really add up to that value proposition,
Sure.
which has just gotten people hooked.
You get the high school or you get the family, right? So that's a good strategy. I like that. So one of the reasons we're talking, you guys had a big news last week, which is that you have announced professional golfer Tony Finau has come into this brand as a partner. I know Tony. Okay, well, full disclosure, I'm not a golf guy, but I did watch Full Swing on Netflix, and probably like a lot of people who might be listening to this, although a lot of people listening to this probably are actually golfers. I didn't know the guy. Watched that series and fell in love with him because he was just so dynamic, charismatic, just a really good dude. Came across in those episodes. But what I do know about him now is Hawaiian heritage and also roots in Utah. So clearly makes sense. But tell me more about this partnership that Mobetta's has struck with Tony Finau.
Yeah, I think you said it well. We're excited about the partnership. Yes, he's an amazing golfer, but watching that Netflix special, you get a bit of a taste of who Tony is. And, I think he phrases it, and I'll botch this, but something along the lines of he's a full-time father and a part-time golfer. And I think for us with Mobetta's, that resonates really well because we're really a family, rooted company as well. That's Kimo and Kalani. As they came over, it was to celebrate their heritage, but also a lot of their family helped get this brand going. And, to this day, we have many members of the Mack family that are still part of this. But, for Tony in particular, yes, we're blessed. He grew up in Utah. He grew up in an area called Rose Park, just north of actually our second location. And so, getting to know him and understand him better, like he started coming to Mobetta's himself. In fact, having that Polynesian heritage, spending a lot of time in Hawaii, he was looking for some authentic Hawaiian style food. And luckily we were close by. And so he's been a customer of ours for a very long time, and visiting the brand and enjoying the brand. In fact, we've had the luck of being able to meet him before and interact with him. And so when we found out that there was an opportunity to be able to do a partnership with him, it just was a very natural fit. Somebody who already loved the brand, somebody who's rooted in family and what he does with, his Polynesian heritage. And he's close by from where where he lives and can participate in. So I think those were the big ones. The other thing as a brand we're really excited about is finding more and more ways to actually partner with the Finau Foundation. So he's got a foundation that he and his wife run. It's all centered around children and really finding different ways to support kids, whether that be books, whether that be clothing, whether that be meals. And again, for us, I think that aligns with who we as a company really want to be. So I'd call it just kind of everything in this story for us all just fits very well. That just made it a very natural partnership and way to go. So.
Yeah, it's awesome. And tell me a little bit about the specifics of the deal. What is the level of partnership he's coming in at?
He's actually coming in with as a partial owner of the company. So I won't get into too many specifics on that, but
Sure.
But he's actually coming in and has a level of ownership that we're excited about because he's really invested in us and our future and where we're headed.
Sure. So I'm curious about this just because, especially for those listening, who might be thinking about maybe not even ownership, because that's a whole other thing, but even just having a personality attached to the brand as a partner, spokesperson, whatever level they come into. A lot of people, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. And for somebody like a Tony Finau, who has hundreds of thousands of followers on social media, Netflix has taken this guy into the stratosphere. Clearly, he's got a following, and Mobetis can really, obviously connect with that too. So for those listening who want something similar, what do you recommend? I mean, this one almost it seems like it fell into their lap, but what would you look for if you were just like, if you took a step back, said any old company looking for a partner that could, you could again link up with and have some of the benefits of their audience, their network? What would that look like? What would some of your first steps be in looking for that partnership?
Yeah, I think to your point, somewhat fell in our lap of this just perfect scenario. But for us, it wasn't that we were out just looking for a celebrity to go promote and, stick on some billboards or stick on whatever media kind of thing you wanted to do. It was really for us finding a partner that was so aligned with who we are as a brand, that we knew already loved the brand. We weren't going to have to, stick some terry chicken in his mouth and say, pretend you like this. We already know he likes it. I mean, he came and got, maybe he wouldn't like me sharing this, but he came when we were with him last, he got our Akolu plate, which is our biggest plate. It has well over 2 pounds of food. And he put it down, right? And he wasn't forcing himself down. Like, he enjoys our food, and I think he hadn't eaten yet for the day, so it helped him eat that entire meal. But I think finding someone who genuinely enjoys the brand, who wants to participate with the brand, and again, from a value standpoint, just who he is. Yes, his Polynesian heritage, but also his ties to family, also what he's trying to do for children. We just felt like it was the perfect fit to us to just find some natural ways to fit in as a brand instead of, like I said, how do we throw his face up on a bunch of places and hope that it draws us in? It's really how can we continue to find ways to naturally partner with him and or his foundation and just, get kind of the positive side of what we are trying to do as a company and the values that we stand for as well.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the values thing, it's so interesting because there's obviously risk involved, right? Because you're sort of handing over a little bit of this company to somebody who you don't control. Now, having watched the episode with Tony Finau on Netflix, think you guys are pretty safe. What you say about values and family. I think the funniest part of his episode is all the other golfers say, to something along the lines of what you said. He's full-time dad and part-time golfer. All the other golfers are like, is this guy ever going to take golf seriously? Because he's always bringing his family along. He's always with his kids. And that shows, right? But an extreme sort of other side of this is you think of something like Adidas and Kanye West. You think of some of these partnerships that legitimately hurt the company because of, you can't control that person. I guess I'm just curious, how do you think through sort of risk of handing over the brand to a partner who, again, you can't control what they say or do? You guys had some protection in being with Tony Finau, who is all around great guy, but do you think through some of those risks, I guess?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think luckily, again, you already hit it perfectly, is there's enough out there about Tony and who he is as a person and what he stands for that, I don't see any risk that way. I shouldn't maybe say that. You never know what could happen tomorrow, but Yeah, it's not like there's been a couple of red flags and you kind of wonder what might happen in the future. Like he's genuinely shown that he's just a great human, and yeah, and you hear stories and interviews from other people that are golfers that have golfed with him, what he does with his business dealings, and and again, whether it's the Netflix special and just seeing his family, and even what they post on social media, like I think it all fits very well with us as a brand, and I would be absolutely shocked if something happened in the vein where we'd be disappointed in this partnership. And I don't think we would have gone into it if we felt there was any flag or risk. Because again, this wasn't about just finding a celebrity we could post up. It was, hey, we've got this opportunity to work with somebody that's so aligned with us and what we try to do, and particularly aligned with our founders, that it just was a no-brainer and felt very low risk from that standpoint.
Sure. Of course, you look at the course of a brand's trajectory. There are lots of things that happen along the trajectory of a brand's growth that, can be pivotal moments to sort of taking it to the next level. This sort of seems like one of those moments, maybe for Mobetta's. What do you see as being the opportunity, not just having somebody who comes in as an owner, but just somebody who, again, you kind of hitch your wagon to the Tony Finau train here. How do you see that helping growth? How can Mobetta's really leverage to taking this into the next stage of growth?
Yeah, well, I think we're continuing to expand. In fact, we're looking to open up in Las Vegas and Phoenix, Arizona, whether at the end of this year or early next year. Huge golf markets. I think out in the Midwest. I mean, every city is a golf city, but those warmer climates in particular are even higher that way. So I think just having his name attached will, I think, help people just kind of give that little extra look and go, okay, well, if Tony likes this place, maybe I need to go check it out. And I think that, by the way, pairs up very nicely with our really complicated marketing strategy, which is food in mouths, right? Like, we know we're trying to educate people on what Hawaiian style food is. And so if we can just get them to try the food, we know they're going to be hooked. And so to that same vein, if Tony helps give us one extra reason to give people a chance to try the food, then we think that we can get them hooked. Will that bring them back a second, third, fourth time? No, we've got to deliver on that side. But we feel pretty good that Tony's name and affiliation is going to just continue to add to that concept of getting people to try us out, and then we'll do what we do, and hopefully they continue to enjoy it.
Okay, Rob, break down for me that very complicated marketing strategy to get food in mouths. How do you successfully do that? What are some of your strategies?
Yeah, I mean, a couple of different ways. First off, when we do our new store openings, literally the name of the game is how many people can we serve? And well, it's supposed to be a 4-hour window, but admittedly, much to the chagrin of my team, I tend to get us started early and we tend to end late. But in 4 or 5 hours, we literally, our goal is to get as many people through that line as humanly possible, and just try it. And so, we tend to serve 1,500 to 2,000 people on those VIP days. And then we do, even after that day, several just offerings and really putting it out into the ether of, here, come and try a plate. Then we'll do ongoing things. In fact, this weekend, we just got done doing a Mother's Day special, where we did a buy one, get one free. And, we exploded on Saturday. It was fun. I myself, our head of ops, our team, we were out literally working the lines at our stores. And we were, we basically were up like over 20% week on week just for that one little offer. But again, we served thousands and thousands of plates on Saturday that just got people to come back and try it. Even myself being on the line, we had some customers who hadn't been in a while, and we got to remind them about what we're all about as well. So literally, it's finding ways to get that. Now, we're not trying to discount it all the time or always give away free, but we find these moments like a new store opening, like an event like Mother's Day, where we can say, hey, this aligns with who we are and what we're trying to, whether it's growth or whether it's the connection with family like Mother's Day. Let's find a way to get people to try our plate, and we know they'll come back when they try it.
Sure. And you guys went through a rebrand. I guess it was probably maybe 2 years ago now, a year or two ago. And it felt like that rebrand, you guys really leaned into the Hawaiian vibe of Mo Betta's and what the Mack brothers really intended to create and bringing the taste of Hawaii to the mainland. Tell me how then if you get them into the restaurants, you get their attention, right? You get the food in their mouths, but how else does the vibe of this restaurant, the ambiance, the experience of it, then also play into turning them into repeat customers?
Yeah. So we did the rebrand about a little over a year ago now. And again, Kimo and Kalani were heavily involved in that to really find different touch points and elements that did remind you of Hawaii. And not that our previous store design didn't do that, but we brought more green colors in. We brought more artwork that was kind of larger and added more of the visuals from the islands. And then we brought in some key elements like our shed. So if you go to Hawaii, particularly anywhere near the plantation style homes, you're going to find these tin roof sheds that are essentially their outdoor. I shouldn't say even just eating spaces. It's their everything spaces. You're going to find surfboards and fishing rods and, you name it, it's going to be tied to the ceilings there, but it's also where they're going to congregate and eat under as they're sitting outside, because the homes aren't usually so big out there. So they've got to eat outside. So the whole vibe and the energy when you walk into the restaurant is to make you feel like you're in a backyard in Hawaii. And in fact, when we did the redesign, the shed structures we actually made larger because we found our customers, even in our previous design, loved to sit under them. And so we said, okay, well, it's still inside. It's kind of this interesting phenomenon of people want to sit under a shed that's already under a roof, but we made it larger. So that people could enjoy that experience. And, we play music that's curated by Kalani, one of our founders, and I'd call it Hawaiian themed, not everything, not everything in there is directly from Hawaii. You're going to hear some just island style vibes, if you will, that are going to play. But we want you to feel like as you're sitting and you're enjoying the food, you're sitting under structures that you would find in Hawaii. You're seeing the artwork of the ocean or the lush green that's sitting in there, and you're going to hear the music that you would hear if you were cruising along the beach on Oahu somewhere. So it's that whole just energy that we want you to feel. And I think the last piece that's key, and I think everybody tries to focus on the service, their service piece and their hospitality. Our version of that is really spreading aloha. And aloha, is I think often is thought of just hello and goodbye, but aloha actually means so much more than that. In fact, if you go to Hawaii, it's sort of funny. You get out of the airport, you're going to see signs that say drive with aloha. And fundamentally, that's really about respect and love and care. And so what we try to work with our teams and myself, I mentioned I was in the store, working the line on Saturday. Like, we've got to be role models and example that when a customer walks in, we want to show them that, we have love for them, we care for them, we respect them. And it goes beyond just a friendly or warm greeting. It's a genuine, like, I want to make sure you leave here feeling really good about your experience, and whatever I can do to make that happen and let you know that we care about you and more than just the dollar you're bringing in, and then that's part of spreading the aloha that we're also trying to get when people come into the restaurant.
Sure. So you're spreading that aloha now to new corners of the country. As you mentioned, you guys are growing into the Midwest. You have additional expansion plans. Tell me about how you can take Mo Betta's into new parts of the country. Because as we talked about before, for some parts of the country, this is unfamiliar food. The Hawaiian, the culture of Hawaii, the vibe of Hawaii, all that is probably aspirational for more people than actually realistic for a lot of folks. So how do you enter new markets, and what is that going to look like for Mo Betta's?
Yeah, I think, and now that we've done it a couple of times, we've gone into Dallas and Oklahoma City and Kansas City now. It's really going in and trying to educate folks on the experience we're trying to provide. I think fortunately or unfortunately, I guess it depends on how you look at it. Most people's view of Hawaii is what you would find walking into a hotel in Waikiki, right? You've got tiki torches and you've got fake leis and you've got pineapples everywhere. And that's not at all just what we're about. Kimo and Kalani grew up actually in Kaneohe, which is on the other side of the island of Oahu. It's nowhere near Waikiki. And so the first thing we try to show is this is who we are. When you walk up, we're not gonna just try to say, hey, go try some pineapple and like I said, throw a plastic lei on you, because those aren't authentic to the experience that the brothers grew up with. So, for us, it's really teaching people about what is the version of Hawaii that we're trying to provide. teaching them about the menu, showing them the food. Our grill is also the centerpiece of the restaurant. When you walk in, you're going to see our grill open flame right there in the front of the store because we want our customers to see how we're producing the food and the fact that it's not, cooked off site and warmed up somewhere. So see the grill, smell the chicken. If you've ever come to one of our openings and we're cooking, I told you we're trying to get about 2,000 people through the line in a matter of 4 to 5 hours. Like there's a lot of good smells coming out of that building when we're cooking that much on the grill. So, that sort of carries around. But it's really this concept of, again, how do we get as many people with different offers to come in and say, hey, whether you come for our VIP day and you're going to join us and meet the founders and hear some fun music and have a fun day, or we're going to send you an offer for a free mini plate. We're going to our goal is to bring you in the restaurant and teach you about the side of the island that Kimo and Kalani grew up on and what that means to be Hawaiian style food. And our hope is that you actually leave Mo' Bettahs and feel a bit more like an insider of somebody who grew up in Hawaii versus, the person who's like, yeah, I went to, I won't name a hotel brand, but I walked into this hotel right at the beach in Waikiki and I can tell you about that experience. Like, no, I can tell you about the experience of going into an authentic, Hawaiian style food place. And if you go to other places on the island, if you've been to Mo' Bettahs, you would feel very comfortable ordering at any number of, small restaurant chains. I shouldn't say chains, small restaurants over in Hawaii. You're gonna get a mini plate. It's the same mini plate, maybe some different proteins or different offerings they're gonna have, but you would feel like you could walk into those and order if you've been to Mo' Bettahs and you know our menu.
What do you think is like the core need state of the Mo' Bettahs customer? Because, hopefully this question makes sense. But on one hand, what you're describing of the menu, and this is coming from somebody who unfortunately has yet to be in a Mo' Bettahs. It sounds like more dinner than lunch because of maybe portion size and just the how the meal is presented. But also, when I think about my own family's dining behaviors, we might be in the mood for Chinese, we might be in the mood for Mexican, we might be in the mood for Mediterranean. That's how we kind of think about, or American food as we call it. It's kind of how we think about food. So I'm curious for the Mo' Bettahs customer, where does it tend to fit into their lifestyle?
Yeah, well, I think first off, we're actually about 50-50 lunch and dinner. So it is more than just a dinner concept. I think the first thing is I'll go back to the value of the plate. And we see a lot of, again, I mentioned high school students. I think they like to share it. We see a lot of construction folks that are they're hardworking. They're hungry. They need to be fueled up to finish their day. We see a lot of those folks come in. We see a lot of people who come in and they bring the food back to the office and they save it. They put the rest in the fridge and save it for dinner. And so I think that first need state of where our customers really find that play is they're looking for value. They're not coming in and, they need to add 10 different things to make sure they're full walking out of Mo' Bettahs. Like you can eat our mini plate, you can eat our regular plate, or you can definitely eat the Ekolu plate. None of those should leave you wanting for more food. They should leave you excited that I actually have some food left over for later when I'm hungry again. So I think that's the first thing. I think the meats and the proteins in general align very well with barbecue style restaurants. But you're adding rice and you're adding macaroni salad to it versus say, beans or mac and cheese, although we have a lot of people confuse mac and cheese with our macaroni salad. But I think if you like going to, let's say, a Chipotle style rice bowl type concept, or you like going to a barbecue concept and getting a lot of protein, like we kind of fit that niche where I'd call us kind of in between. We're not making a rice bowl or a burrito, but we're selling rice and we're selling proteins and we're adding sauce to it. And I think we fit very well into that niche, but then also with the value. And again, all that weight, and I mentioned our Ekolu's over 2 pounds. That's not 2 pounds of rice. That is mostly chicken or steak or whatever proteins you get. So it's very heavy on the protein side. So the other group we'll see come in often are people who are finishing a workout. I mentioned workers that are working hard through the day. You also have people who are getting done with a workout. They're looking for a lot of protein, maybe some brown rice. They may or may not want to take us up on the delicious macaroni salad. But if you want to fuel up with a lot of protein, you're going to come to Mo' Bettahs.
I have a hunch that you guys kill with families because I'm just imagining how my family would go to this, or if I had a big event with a lot of family members at my house or something. Sounds like you guys would really fit the bill. So coming back around
Absolutely.
to sort of building the business up, and you talk about getting food in mouths, and creating this sense of aloha in the restaurants. uh, I've been talking to so many people about like loyalty programs these days and just how to really surprise and delight is kind of the new term of loyalty programs. Are there any specific
Yep.
ways that you build that loyalty among customers? Because once they get the food in their mouths, they start coming back. What are some tools you really leverage to be intentional about, I guess, getting them to come back and investing in those customers?
Yeah, so we actually just started a partnership with Thanks at the very beginning of this year, and by the way,
Sure.
that partnership has worked out very well for us. We're about 8 times more loyalty followers now on that program than we were on our previous platform, and
Wow.
so we're still, I'd say, figuring out the best way to surprise and delight with this new tool and this new power we have, but what we are seeing is, and I mentioned the Mother's Day promotion, we were up about 20% in traffic Saturday over Saturday. What we're finding is that using loyalty and finding that way that we can really connect with those customers and then message an event like we did this weekend, we're getting far more return on those investments, and we're getting a lot more people actually taking us up on these offers just through this connection, because I think they feel invested in the brand when they're connected. They've got an app on the phone. I'm getting my points. Now when we talk to them and let them know about, maybe we're a cool thing we're doing, which we're doing a test right now for a spicy mayo that's delicious with the katsu chicken. But whether we're communicating something like that or we're communicating something like our Mother's Day offer, these customers now that are connected to us through loyalty just are more receptive to that message versus, we throw out 200,000 emails and hope somebody opens them up and gets a return. So the surprise and delight, I think we're still playing with that. What we know is luckily our customers love our brand and they love to get swag from us. And so, one of those next ideas is actually using that platform for ways to get different things that you can't just walk into our stores and buy. We
Sure.
tend to let our team members get them. Our customers always ask us for them, and so I think that's kind of the next vein of where we want to go beyond you know spend X amount, get X amount, spend X, be at this tier, and now you have the opportunity to get some items that you just can't get any other way.
Yeah, that's sort of exclusive experiential part of the loyalty program. That's kind of the other buzzword, I guess you could say. So, Rob, what do you think is
Yep.
the potential of this brand? What do you see? I mean, you being fairly new to this brand just within the last couple of years. What do you see as being Mobetta's potential in terms of its growth and in terms of what it can become really for the communities that it's already in?
Yeah, look, I think the sky's the limit for this brand. I think that our food and what we serve, it really fits across the entire country. Whether you're sitting on the coast and you're looking for the healthy meal with a lot of protein and maybe not a lot of carbs or anything else, like we've got that for you. If you're in the Midwest and you want macaroni salad and you want that good hearty, comfort food, our plates fit that very well. So I think that that broad appeal, and again, I'll keep hitting on the value piece. I think the value piece is the most important part that helps us grow and expand. I think the important thing that we have to remind ourselves is we have to still teach people what Hawaiian style food is. Even myself,
Yeah.
before I joined the brand, I kind of knew, but I didn't totally know. And now that I know what it is, I love it. But we have to teach and educate as we go through. So it's a new segment. It's going to be a little bit harder because we've got to educate. But once people pick it up, it just explodes. I mean, our highest volume locations are here in Utah. They're actually not our drive-through stores, although our drive-through stores start off stronger than our non-drive-through stores, but they're not drive-through stores. And every year we just keep, I think we're on our, well, we don't know exactly. We're on at least 12 years of consecutive same-store sales growth. It's probably 15 years because we've been open 15, but we don't have the math that goes back that far.
Hmm.
But we just keep seeing growth after growth as more and more people figure out what we are, what we do. They try the food, they love the value, and they just keep coming back. So all of that to say, there's zero reason why I don't think we have broad national appeal that can come here, and yeah, and why the unit count just won't keep I mean, we're a long ways away from Chipotle, but I don't think there's any reason that we couldn't be ambitious that, we could get to that scale someday.
Well, hey, with Tony Finau on board now, who knows what you guys could accomplish with him. So, Rob Ertmann, the CEO of Mo Betta's. Rob, thanks as always for talking. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Have you heard about the California Food Service Instant Rebate Program? You can save up to $3,000 instantly on energy-efficient food service equipment when you purchase from participating dealers. Find out more at www.caenergywise.com/instant-rebates and find a participating dealer near you. Skip the paperwork and save instantly on your food service equipment. That's www.caenergywise.com/instant-rebates. That was my interview with Rob Ertmann, the CEO of Mo Betta's. So what should you learn from this interview? Here are my 6 takeaways. My first takeaway is that it is easier to introduce customers to a new cuisine when it has familiar touch points. Hawaiian food probably not a lot of people around the country know exactly what Hawaiian food means. A lot of them today probably think of poke when they think of Hawaiian food. So that's a challenge that Mo Betta's has as it is expanding across the country. But Rob pointed out that when you look at the Mo Betta's menu, what you're working with is essentially rice, protein, sauces, macaroni salad. These are all things that are familiar to folks. And so as they expand into new markets, the team there at Mo Betta's doesn't think it's so much of a stretch to enter some of these places in the Midwest and the South that might not be as familiar with Hawaiian foods. And that's true of a lot of brands. As you bring new cuisines forward and you expand into parts of the country where it might not be familiar, emphasize those parts of the menu that are familiar to customers just so you can bring them in. Because as you'll find out later in my takeaways, you just got to get the food into their mouth for them to really understand why that's a restaurant they should be going to. My second takeaway is that high schoolers might be your best marketing team. I liked this story that Rob told about Mo Betta's, that the first Mo Betta's location was actually near a couple of high schools. And so that the high schoolers would come into Mo Betta's because of the value it offered with big portions at a lower price point. Those high schoolers would take their leftovers home, they'd share them with their family, and the rest is history, I guess. They were able to spread the word of the Mo Betta's menu by really tapping into the youth. And I think it's a great idea. Not that you have to go looking for locations next to a high school or next to a high school necessarily, but you should consider, how do you get young people into your restaurants to get the food to them? Because young people do often persuade the family's dining decisions. So that's a great pointer to remember as you expand. How do you find the youth in the community, get the food to them so that they can bring it to their families? My third takeaway, as I referenced earlier, is that food in mouths might be your smartest marketing strategy. Rob kind of made that joke that food in mouths, that's their marketing plan. But there's something important, I think, to note there that is smarter than it sounds, is that the best way to get customers to come to your brand is to show them that the food is delicious. That is, again, the challenge that Mo Betta's is facing as it expands around the country and as it has the awareness challenge that people aren't familiar with Mo Betta's. They're not familiar with Hawaiian food, so they've got to get food into mouths. How can you do that? There's a lot of different ways. You can do promotions, you can give out free food, all kinds of things. But as you are expanding and coming into a new community and wondering how you build your local consumer base, think first and foremost, how does this food get to the potential customer to convince them that they should become a loyal customer? My fourth takeaway is that your best brand ambassador is someone who already loves your concept. So I really wanted to talk to Rob, not just about Mo Betta's expansion, but about this partnership with Tony Finau, which obviously we got into in our conversation, and thinking about how other brands can also look for spokespeople, ambassadors, partners on their journey toward expansion. How do you find that right partner? As we talked about, Tony Finau was a natural fit for Mo Betta's. He had the Polynesian heritage. He grew up going to Hawaii a lot, but he grew up in Utah. If you watched that show, Full Swing on Netflix, which, as you heard, that's really my only touch point to Tony Finau. But now I am definitely a follower because I really loved his episode of that show. You'll see how he grew up in Utah. He has an incredible story, incredible values, very family-oriented guy. And as Rob described, he loved Mobetta's. And so all of those things made him a perfect fit for the brand, that he was a local guy, but he also he's kind of on this shooting star trajectory in terms of his fame in the golf world. So how do you find that brand ambassador who is a natural fit like Tony Finau was for Mobetta's? I think that's the lesson here is if you want to find an influencer, celebrity, just a high profile name who's going to help you get your name out there, think first and foremost, who loves this concept? Who is a natural fit? Don't force it. Try to find somebody that makes a lot of sense, because it will be a lot easier for them to sell that story to their fans and their audiences. My fifth takeaway is that a high profile name attached to your brand will encourage guests in new markets to give you a look. This is kind of why you do this, right? You are finding a brand partner like a celebrity in order to do your marketing. This partnership with Tony Finau and Mobetta is a little bit different because he does also have an ownership stake. But a lot of this is because you want to try to pave your way into new markets and get your name out there. And celebrities, influencers, they have these followings of hundreds of thousands, if not millions of fans, and you can easily get your name out there through those networks. And as Rob talked about with Tony Finau, they're growing into Phoenix and Las Vegas, a couple of markets where golf is huge. Of course, golf is huge in a lot of markets across the country. And so if they can, share in the story of Tony Finau and share how he is a brand partner, that does open lots of doors, because the golfing communities in new markets, they're going to give Mobetta's a look because of the association with Tony Finau. So that's what you have to think about is, as you get these brand partners, these ambassadors involved with your brand, what are the communities that they're unlocking a door to? Who do you want to tap into in new markets that a potential spokesperson could really help you access? That's a good filter as you consider who could be that good brand partner. My sixth and final takeaway is that there is no ceiling for a value-oriented chain. On Mobetta's expansion strategy, they're really selling the fact that they have large portions of delicious food for a low price point. This is how so much of the industry obviously has succeeded, but it bears repeating that value sells, and value is embraced by customers everywhere. If you are a high quality chain with high price points, you're going to limit which markets you can go into. But if you are oriented around value, even with high quality food, but served at a value price point, that will get you into pretty much any community in America, because that resonates with the American consumer. So work that into your messaging. Certainly work it into your menu if you can. Those are all my takeaways for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please remember to subscribe to Takeaway wherever you listen to podcasts and leave your feedback. You can also email me at sam.oches@informa.com. Thanks again, and we'll talk to you next week.